The chair of Kedipa, Mheshimiwa Timu Wanyonyi, na Senator Musuruve na wenzetu wote katika media. My name is Honorable Dennitah Ghati. I am a member of parliament representing persons with disabilities in the National Assembly. Sisi ndio hao tulinominatiwa sasa kufanya mambo ya watu walio na ulemavu. I am nominated by my political party, which is the ODM party, of course. Before I got into the work that I do, I have been the woman rep for Migori County. So nilikuwa nimechaguliwa kupigiwa kura kuwa women rep before. Sisi sasa ndio wale guinea pigs wale wa kwanza. 2013 to 17 I served as the woman rep for Migori. Now this time I am actually serving persons with disabilities in the National Assembly. And I'm glad to be here because I also deputize Mheshimiwa Timu Wanyonyi as the vice chair of Kedipa. I just quickly want to apologize because unajua sasa hii expressway iko na maneno. I live that side, so munajua what it is kwa hiyo barabara. So I'm sorry I came late, but I'm very happy and glad that you are here as journalists to actually show your solidarity with us members of parliament and also your solidarity with persons with disabilities of Kenya. I'm very glad that to make chukua hiyo direction. Vile tunavyoongea, many of you know also that even within Kedipa, because apart from being the vice chair of Kedipa, I am also the Africa region champion on disability issues to the Commonwealth Parliamentary Association, CPA. So I represent the continent that is Africa. That is Africa, and you know, the region of Africa has about 18 countries that form the CPA. Members of parliament, journalists who are here from the parliamentary, Kenya Parliamentary Journalists Association. I know you and I recognize you. Munajua mambo ya CPA. So we do that work. So I do champion issues disability to the Commonwealth Parliament based in London on issues disability. So I'm glad that we are here. Sisi kama Kedipa, as a team, we are a team, as you will know. We are members of parliament who live with, who have a form of disability in parliament, and we are together to see how then do we bring the voices of our people together so that even when we are there to articulate issues ya disability, tunakubaliana and we lobby one another, and we are also able to lobby the various committees that actually address disability issues. Munaona vitu kama hizo. So that is what we do, and I'm glad that sisi wenyewe we decided that as members of parliament, how then do we actually look at our friends in the media, because we realize that the media has not been with us sana kwa disability. I know, you know, I'm a journalist, by the way. You know, I'm a journalist, very well trained from the KMC. Wala mnajua mass. Mimi nimesomea huko journalism, print media. Mimi. So I practiced journalism, writing and collecting stories until I came to the media. I was also an editor with the Standard that time, tukiwa Likoni Road. So I know the media and what is sexy. To make news with the media. Disability hardly makes news because it's not sexy in quotes. I'm using this word sexy in quotes. So we want to change the narrative as members of parliament. How does the media portray persons with disabilities? I'm glad that a lot of you we have interacted. Cecilia, we have really worked a lot. Lidubu and the Kenya Parliamentary Association. And kuna a new one that is now called the Journalists for Human Rights. And you know, disability rights are human rights. You are all aware. And I remember lobbying journalists for human rights. Nikawaambia, we now need to look, don't just look at issues, gender, issues, youth, issues without disability. Because disability rights are human rights. How then do we change the narrative in the media on how we report persons with disabilities? As I came in, I told you, mimi, the easiest way watu hunijua huko nje ni kusema, yule mama wa wheelchair, yule mbunge wa wheelchair, niyo yule. You know, you already mmeniweka katika hiyo, ni wheelchair. How then do you, even as members of the media, how do you, when you are thinking about disability issues, do you think of inviting somebody who is not a disabled member of parliament? You know, sometimes you can even change that narrative. If you invite, let's say, Senator Kangata to come and talk disability, will he talk disability? Because the way you also see, munasema, only those journalists wako na wheelchair, ama wako na crutches, ama wako na whatever, ndio wataongea disability. That way sasa mwisha to box. Disability naongelewa na hawa wabunge tu. because they are living that life. Yes, it is true, but how then do you change it so that members of parliament who are also not disabled are able to talk disability? What do they know? Because I think I'm telling you, when we got into parliament, very few members of parliament could even stand up and even raise a question on disability issues. But we have changed the narrative. We are changing that narrative in parliament so that MPs, because members of parliament have persons with disabilities in their constituencies. All these disabled people in Kenya, persons with disabilities, by the way, they do not live in Nairobi. Every one of you, you come from homes where either muko na walemavu hapo nyumbani. How do you tackle persons with disabilities where you live so that they also feel wako na hiyo dignity? So that we are talking about issues of inclusivity. And you have seen, in Kenya, for a long time, we have been talking about issues inclusivity. Even BBI talks inclusivity. But what is inclusivity without persons with disabilities? What are you talking about inclusivity? Oh, inclusivity is gender. Now gender, kukuwa na mwanaume hapa, mwanamke hapa, hiyo ni inclusivity na youth. You know, ideally, even within the media setup, that is what you think. Oh, inclusivity wameweka tribe. Kikuyu wako ndani, Masai yako ndani, Kuri yako ndani, Jaluo wako ndani. That is inclusivity. Now we must move beyond just plain talking of inclusivity. Inclusivity is never inclusivity without persons with disabilities. And that's why we want to open your eyes, because we want to make you as our allies in the media. If we have journalists for human rights, if we have parliamentary journalists, we want today, and we discussed with the team, Kedipa, chaired Mheshimiwa Wanyonyi, tukamwambia, how do we now identify our allies and our allies in the media world, so that nyinyi wenyewe muweza kutuinua status ya walemavu katika Kenya. So that when you are reporting, you're not only just saying, hey, yule mama mlemavu alirepiwa. Mama mlemavu Machakos was raped. Or a girl with disability was raped in Migori. What can you do and move beyond just reporting negative things? Because persons with disabilities hardly make news in this country. Hardly do we make news wherever we are. We hardly make news unless it is news ya kuchekesha. Ya kuchekesha kama umerepiwa, ama umedefailiwa, ama wale funny news. We want to change that narrative and perception. Let me tell you, members of the media, you are a strong tool that can be used to change the perception of persons with disabilities in this country. And that is why, Obuya, I've spoken to you in parliament so many times, and your team. How then do we identify journalists that are extremely genuine with disability reporting? Because when you are talking about 2/3 in parliament, how then are you quickly in your own instinct, ile unasemanga nose for news, within 2/3, are you able to say, Waheshimiwa, when you're talking 2/3, are you talking about those women with disabilities? Because tunaongea kuhusu wa mama. How then can you quickly as members say, no, these wamama wanaingia katika bunge, how can you identify and ensure that wamama wa disabled pia wanaingia hapo? Now that is disability we are talking about. And that is why for us, we feel we need to kindly open your thinking beyond just the writing and editing and filing and finishing the story. So we are here, and I'm glad, because for me, Simon, I want to suggest that this team that is here today is the team that we will move forward together in what we do. In parliament, as you are aware, tuko na caucuses mingi. I also belong to the SDGs, caucus of parliament. SDGs, Sustainable Development Goals. We have so many caucuses. This is another very strong caucus that is recognized by our standing orders. Sisi wabunge walemavu tuna address mambo ya walemavu namna gani, ili to change perception. Even our speaker has changed. If you know, our speaker has changed. Speaker Muturi, he is extremely good now na disability. Sisi tumemweka katika hii program. All the time akiingia hapa ongea na watu wawili watatu wameongea, a disabled member must speak. That is how we are changing perception of parliament, so that generations that are going to come in as members of parliament to parliament are able to find it easier to be able to integrate. You very well know that disability rights, Kenya is a signatory to the UN Convention on the Rights of Persons with Disabilities, the UN CRPD. Kenya ilisign 207, Kenya ika ratify 208. And you must know these things, journalists. You must know what are the issues, laws za walemavu ziko wapi. The CRPD is our document, internationally recognized. Now, when it is internationally recognized and Kenya has ratified, it means that Kenya commits to ensuring and domesticating the laws within the CRPD to now the constitution. Mukiangalia katiba ya Kenya inaongea sana kuhusu walemavu in chapter 4 the Bill of Rights. So many issues. Na unaangalia sasa the Persons with Disabilities Act iko hapo. Members of Parliament, nyinyi media, you must also acquit yourself with this, with the Persons with Disabilities Act, which is actually right now in the Senate. We want to actually amend it a little bit hapa na pale. So issues disability, I want to plead with you in the media to find space. Talk with your editors, because the next time we will actually speak now with the Editors Guild, kina Kaikai and kina Otieno, all those people, so that we are now able now to also engage them at that level. How then do editors edit the stories that you bring? Do they find them good? It is also the first 3 stories mmeleta katika media. Unajuanga hizo masplash zenu. Do you see a disability story hapa among the splashes you bring? Hakuna. Yetu mnakaweka hapo kafila. Hako yako kadogo tu kamwisho hapo. Yeah, disability ya disable. Even when it is a member of parliament who has done something big that can be news, it doesn't make news in Kenya. When I worked in the media, I wasn't disabled, and I can tell you, it is not easy for you when you are not a disabled person to think disability. It is not easy. Even me when I was in the media, I could not even think. So ni kawaida. But we want now to change you a little bit. Find disability stories exciting. Find disability stories that they can actually make news within yourselves. And that is why last year when we had the Day for Journalists, the Press Freedom Day last year, wale mulikuwa pale Hilton, I was there. Wale mulikuwa Hilton, we were at the Hilton Hotel. And that is when I made that plea to the media houses who were there. Na watu walikuwa wengi. Nikawaambia, even nyinyi wenyewe as journalists, you yourselves as journalists in your own media houses, from KTN to Standard to Enoro to Ebru to wherever, are there persons with disabilities who collect news as newsmakers? Nyinyi wenyewe new journalists, how many of you are journalists with disabilities in the media? Journalists with disability kwenu ni kina nani? Richard Chacha was there, tulisoma na yeye. Yeye sasa yeye ako mbali, wachana na yeye ako PR. Sasa nyinyi as news gatherers, are there journalists with disabilities, even as news anchors? Ukiingia katika KTN unaona disable amekaa hapa anasoma news. Ama how they don't make news. Disability, sasa mtu wa disability akikuja kama news anchor, si ni wheelchair tu najiwheel hapo, mmenitengenezea my infrastructure vizuri, I read news. But are they there even with their own sharp brains? So we must change and make sure that we provide inclusivity even within the media houses where you are. Mimi ninaongea extensively because this is what I see. And I think I'm not munaelewa what I'm saying. Those are the issues that we want to change. So in short, what we are saying, Simon and the team, ni kwamba sisi kama members of parliament tumejitolea kwa sababu we are serving at our time, and we are many of us, na tunasema kwamba sisi katika Kedipa, what is it that we need to do? Nyinyi wengi mmeona katika mtandao. Right now I am pushing an agenda in parliament to ensure that assistive devices are provided free of charge to persons with disabilities in this country. Persons with disabilities, the moment hana free assistive device, they cannot move. They are not dependent. They have to depend on you all the time. Vile Jackie aliongea hapa, I came and when she was talking about saa hii kuna hizo results zimetokea 2020, wale watoto ambao wamefanya mtihani ya 2020. Umeona wametokea na ni wengi, na mtatusaidia nyinyi media kuonyeshana na kupeana inaitwa nini, prominence. I want to ask you as a disabled member of parliament, give prominence to children with disabilities ambao wameperform vizuri saa hii. Despite COVID umeona ikiendelea. When things were there and students were actually accessing online learning, I raised that question in the house, on the floor of the house. I asked the CS Magoha, what mechanisms are there to ensure that children with disabilities, wale ambao hawaoni, wao wata access online learning namna gani? Mmeona hao wengine wameperform, lakini mnaona Mungu ni wa maajabu. Are you now seeing Mungu ni nani? Right now we are celebrating about 5 or 6 students, learners with disabilities ambao wameperform vizuri Kenya hii katika mtihani wa KCSE. And media must profile those children so that we are able to bring on board that kind of discussion in this country. So we are here not looking like victims, but here to say that we are doing well as members of parliament, And I want to ask that the media help us to change the narrative, change the perception of how persons with disabilities are seen in the society. So that from there, as a country, we are also being seen. As I've mentioned, kindly portray persons with disabilities with dignity and the respect that they deserve. Hapa hawa journalists, I'm glad for me to say that we have allies here and will continue increasing. We want to have this as another movement, and I'm happy, and I feel that I have a feeling that munanisikia. You are feeling me or not? Because you're not clapping, even our sister tangu nianza kuongea. And the journalists, you know, sisi tunapenda ku acknowledgewa ukiongea. So you don't clap, I sit down. But what I'm simply saying, ni kwamba, for me, I see this team here today, na wale ambao tutaongezea baadaye, and this is a team that we will begin. For me, the way I feel, I don't know whether you have already given a name. For me, I want to actually tell you that you now, we want to call you journalists for disability rights. How many of you feel that you can be journalists for disability rights to join that team? So that we have a team and a name for our group. Munanielewa mpaka hapo? So that is the reason why, colleagues, we want to bring you on board. Tukiwaita, muna to join pale. Tukiwaita, munajua, hiyo ndio reporting ambayo mko nayo. So that the next time when many of you here are editors, I think, or subs here. But we also want to engage at that other level. So that they also understand why we have you to champion our issues. So that when you're seeing Dennitah Ghati, or you're seeing a woman, because as a woman with disability, I am expected by society to perform many other issues that a normal woman does. A woman with disability is also expected to be married. Si namna hiyo? A woman with disability si anazaa. Anafanya ile mambo ingine ya kawaida na familia yake. So it does not, disability does not remove a right from you. It hopes because I could disable, you cannot do this, you cannot do this, you cannot do this, you cannot participate in bed matters. Because bed matters, you have to reproduce. A woman with disability, we are giving birth. We are busy. So that now, you don't only see that, oh, ni woye disable. We want to remove the woye in persons with disabilities. So that now, the moment you remove woye, you are seeing as normal people. Normal. So that even when you are down here, you'll see a disabled person, you'll be able to assist that disabled person. Sio kusema, yule mlemavu. Oh, wale walemavu wako pale. Unajua tunaitwanga wale sasa wale watu. Wale watu ndio tunaitwanga hivyo, disabled people. You know, I've lived the two lives, me myself. When I didn't have a disability, life was different from when I have a disability. I can see. And that is why when you see me and my colleagues championing disability rights, many of us who have been not disabled and disabled, is because we feel the difference between rights. When your rights are denied because you are a disabled person. And that is why we champion these issues. So that we make it easy and beautiful for persons with disabilities, with rights. So this team has disabilities as the journalists for disability rights. I would be glad to give that name. I know you will also propose many other names, but for me, I feel this is a team that we can call that name. Journalists for disability rights. Na katika ile tukienda counties, we will also have those caucuses in our various counties where we come from. We are getting into an election next year, and I want to sit down with this. We are getting into election next year. And you know very well that even within the various provisions of BBI, many of my colleagues in parliament are offering themselves to positions of elective representation. Meaning that you will be able to see disabled members of parliament or disabled persons looking for elective positions in this country. Na muzoee nyinyi as media ku report those people, profile them so that they are also able to kuongezeka. We have 5.8 million Kenyans with disabilities in Kenya. How many slots for nomination are in this country? There are few. So persons with disabilities, we are trying to normalize life. Na nyinyi mtusaidia as media to normalize life. Normalize seeing disabled people as your MP or as your MCA. So that is, in short, is what I wanted to say, that I am glad that you are here. We have finished what we could do. And at the moment the team will be able to tell us what to do, we'll be able to share with you na tujue vile tutasonga pamoja. Nashukuru sana kwa kunisikiliza na Mungu awabariki sana.